Hey guys, I'm Erik Peterson and I'm a men's dating and relationship coach for skillofattraction.com. And today's attraction tips video is called How I Got Out of the Friend Zone. Now, I believe it was in one of my more recent videos where I mentioned how I once managed to get out of the friend zone. And I said that perhaps we would save that for another video. Well, here's your video. Now, it was completely by accident when this happened. I had no clue what I was doing back then. But knowing what I know now, I sort of reverse engineered what I did that led to me getting out of the friend zone with a girl and turning it into a long-term relationship. Now, in most cases, it's impossible to get out of the friend zone. I mean, once a woman forms an opinion of you, it's almost impossible to change that opinion. She sees you in a particular way, and that's that. Your actions up to that point have proved you to be this person, and you can't just, snap your fingers and she begins to see you differently. You've presented yourself in a way as a non-sexual friend, and you making it known that you want her romantically or sexually isn't going to suddenly change her opinion of you. In fact, in many cases, this will infuriate her because you've pretended to be a non-sexual friend who has no romantic interest in her for so long, and she kind of feels like you played her or tricked her. The good news is this goes the other way too. I mean, if she views you to be the fun, sexy man that could just rock her world, changing her opinion on that is going to be very difficult. Hence why so many women stay with men that are no good for them. So getting out of the friend zone could be quite difficult. And I would typically recommend that if you are in the friend zone, that you just move on, because the likelihood of you getting out of it is slim. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm suggesting that you remain friends with her when you want her in your arms and in your bed, because that'll be absolutely torture for you. It's usually a pretty good deal for the woman when it comes to the friend zone, but a terrible deal for the man. The woman gets all of your attention and validation, and you probably go out of your way to do things for her, like help her move, put her furniture together, paint her house, pick her up in the middle of the night when she's drunk and can't drive. I mean, basically being her handyman, her chauffeur, and her biggest fan. You, on the other hand, get what? The pleasure of her presence? I mean, maybe a rather lousy one-sided friendship, blue balls, many sleepless nights, tossing and turning in bed, just hoping that she finally gets it and sees that she has a great man right in front of her. I mean, it's not a good deal for you at all. Plus, it's preventing you from meeting and dating women who actually want you romantically. So with that in mind, if you're in the friend zone, you cannot tolerate being in it a minute longer. I mean, you have to get out one way or another. I mean, like I said, it's nearly impossible to turn a girlfriend into a girlfriend, but it's not completely impossible. Like I said, I did it once before, and I didn't know what I was doing back then. So that means that you can do it too if you play your cards right. So in this attraction tips video, I'm going to be discussing how I was able to get out of the friend zone and how I got myself in it to begin with. But if you guys need my personal help and you're interested in some private coaching, please head over to my website at skillofattraction.com and click on the coaching tab, and there you'll see that I have several options for you to choose from. I offer standard email coaching as well as emergency email coaching, which includes a response from me on weekends and holidays. And I also offer both biweekly and monthly coaching where I'll work with you throughout that time period. Additionally, I offer phone coaching for my North American clients, but if you live outside of North America, I finally have something set up for you guys, and it's Zoom coaching. And it really just works the same way as phone coaching, except you get to look at this gorgeous face for an hour. And my available times will probably not be ideal for many of you, depending on where you live, of course, but obviously I can't be available 24 hours a day. Anyway, you'll find the link to Zoom coaching on my phone coaching page. And I just want to let you guys know, starting November 15th, I will actually be discontinuing the email coaching and just focusing on phone and Zoom coaching. The email coaching just takes up so much of my time that I don't have time to grow my business. And believe me, what I have planned for you guys, you're going to want me to grow it. It's going to be very beneficial for you. But with the phone and Zoom coaching, I'll also be creating some affordable alternatives so you can all participate. And I'll post the links to both my coaching page and my contact page in the description down below. Now, first of all, women don't put you in the friend zone. You put yourself there. In many cases, you usually do this by acting more like her platonic friend as opposed to her lover, or she liked you to begin with, but you started acting weak and needy. In other cases, she's just not into you. I mean, it has nothing to do with you per se. I mean, she's just not feeling attraction for you, which happens quite a bit. So don't get angry with women for you being in the friend zone. Now, if you've made it known that you want her and she begins to string you along, well, that's another story. I mean, she's doing that shit intentionally, but also because you're allowing it. If you stood up for yourself, stood your ground, and enforced your boundaries, she wouldn't be stringing you along. And I actually recently did a video about signs that she's stringing you along, and I recommend you check that out. Now, when I was in the friend zone with this particular girl who I was able to turn into my girlfriend, I did everything wrong initially. And I mean, it wasn't my first time in the friend zone either, but it was certainly my last time. And she was a girl who I knew through friends, and I used to throw a lot of big after-hour parties, and I was a well-known fixture in both the nightclub and the music scene in Chicago, so I knew a lot of people. And because of that, I had a lot of social proof. So I didn't have a problem attracting women. I mean, beautiful women often approach me. It was actually really easy, but I couldn't keep them long at all. But I was also still a nice guy, which wasn't doing me any favors. This girl was dating an acquaintance of mine, and this guy would come by my place and bring her with, and that's how I knew her. I wasn't all that attracted to her initially. I mean, she had this just hard look about her that I just wasn't that attracted to. And then she ended up moving about a block away from me, so her and that guy came over quite a bit. Eventually, they broke up, and I mean, I was dating someone else, but this girl whom I'm talking about really softened her look up. And she put these blonde highlights in her hair, she started doing her makeup differently, dressing differently, and just all around looked much more soft and feminine. So suddenly I was just hooked. And the more we hung out, the more I was falling for her. And the other guy was out of the picture, and so she was fair game. And I had to do something because I couldn't stop thinking about her. So like many of you would do, I thought the best thing to do was to just sit her down and confess my feelings for her. I told her how beautiful she was, how I had been falling for her, and how I wanted her to be, or how I wanted to be more than friends with her. And all that seemed like a logical way to handle the situation, right? Oh, and I should add that it was clear that she felt at least a little something for me too. I mean, she still came over to my place all the time. I mean, almost daily, just to hang out. And we flirted a bit when we were together. So I thought I really had a shot handling it this way. Well, she shot me down, telling me that she wasn't in a place for a relationship right now, and that she felt that she couldn't be the type of girlfriend that I deserved. And it was the typical BS excuses that women give in these sort of situations. And I bought every line of it because it seemed like a reasonable excuse. And I was crushed, but I thought that if I just hang in there long enough, she'll eventually see that I'm the man for her. But a few weeks later, I got word that she had been going out on dates with another acquaintance of mine. Of course, I was like, what the fuck? She said that she wasn't interested in a relationship. I also heard that one night after the club, she had gone home with another guy that I knew, and she even asked my roommate not to tell me about that one, so she wouldn't hurt me. And that just made me feel pathetic. I was extremely attracted to this girl, and I wanted her bad. So on a whim one day, I upped my game just a bit. It was after a night of heavy partying, and my roommate, this girl, and a few other people and me were all just laying around my place, hungover, licking our wounds, still a little high from the night before. And I insisted that she come lie next to me on the couch so we could snuggle up and fall asleep. And she surprisingly went for it without any hesitation. We both fell asleep, but when I woke up, her hand was down my sweatpants, gripping onto my rock-hard member. And of course, I had a big smile on my face when I woke up, but when she woke up right then, she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she jumped up and she goes into the other room, and I just never brought it up again. Another night, I had a small group of friends over, and we were all just partying like we normally would. It was like 3 guys, including me, and 2 girls, including the girl I wanted. And the other girl was another hottie who also happened to be a stripper. And by us men egging her on, the stripper did a sexy little strip show, stripping down to her bra and panties. And then she proceeded to give me a little personal dance in front of everyone. And I looked over to the girl I wanted, and I could see that she was a little jealous. So of course I just enjoyed the show and encouraged the stripper to keep going because I was getting the reaction I wanted out of that girl. Not to mention a half-naked hottie wiggling her body in front of me. Another night, an ex-girlfriend called me and she wanted to hang out. So I invited her over. And it was just us 2 plus the girl that I wanted and my roommate all at my place. And later that evening, I ended up having sex with my ex in the bathroom. The bathroom wasn't the plan, it just kind of happened that way. But the girl I wanted kept, knocking on the door, clearly knowing what was going on in there and trying to get my attention. I mean, she was jealous. My roommate at the time, who also happened to be a stripper, not the same one who just gave me a dance, but she had a couple of regular stripper friends that would come over all the time. And one of those girls developed a little crush on me. And she was a tad bit thick for my liking. I mean, I like cute and tiny girls, but she flirted with me all the time. This drove the girl that I wanted nuts, but she still was telling me that she only saw me as a friend. Her and I were both over at a friend's house to party one night, and she was the only girl there. And when she passed out from too much partying, I drew a mustache on her face with a black magic marker, and of course we all laughed. And when she woke up and discovered my handy artwork, she was so pissed. And she was just like punching my arm, punching my chest so hard, but I couldn't help but just laugh. Then another night, her and I were lying on the couch watching a movie and dozing off. And this time I purposely slid my hand up her shirt, and my hand didn't touch her breast or anything. I purposely slid and laid my hand in between her breasts. And she didn't stop me, and we fell asleep until my roommate came in. She came into the room and yelled, "Eric, what are you doing?" after seeing my hand up her shirt. And of course, the girl freaked out. She jumped up and she stayed away from me the rest of the night, most likely embarrassed. And just as a side note, women don't like to be judged for their sexuality. And if they feel they're being judged, they'll stop it, even if they really like it. One night, it was just her and I hanging out at my place, and she was getting ready to leave. And the sexual tension between us was thick. And she got up to leave, and she just looked at me for a few seconds, and she said, "I always wondered what it'd be like to kiss you." So, of course, I went over to her and I kissed her. And once again, her hand slipped into my pants, and she grabbed onto me again. But at that point, they came through the door, and she quickly pulled away and left without saying a word. And what finally sealed the deal with this girl is one night her and I were going out to a bar. And once again, she made it very clear that we were going out as just friends. And however, before we went out, I got a phone call from that same ex who I had sex with in the bathroom, that changed everything. The girl I wanted and I went out, but she was just flirting really hard with me all night. At one point, I was driving her car and she was in the passenger seat, and she just reached over and grabbed my face and stuck her tongue down my throat as I was driving. Not the safest way to drive a car, especially in the city where it's really busy, but of course I couldn't resist. And shortly after that, we ended up getting arrested. Now, that's a whole other story I'm not going to get into here, but after we finally got out of jail at like 3 a.m., back at my place, she practically ripped my clothes off and we ended up finally having sex. And she still would tell me that we were just friends and that was a one-time thing. But about a month later, we ended up having sex again, and a relationship just sort of happened after that. And of course, there's a lot more to the story than just that, but I'm trying to stick to the important parts to show you guys what I did to change this. Plus, I don't want to put you guys to sleep with a long, boring story, if I haven't already. And so what was it that changed her mind? Well, it was a few things. For one, looking back, she clearly already had some attraction for me. And that's important. Women have to have some attraction for you to some degree before anything can happen. If a girl's not attracted to you, in most cases, you can't suddenly make her attracted. So in this case, had I not taken the coward's way out and confessed my feelings for her, it probably wouldn't have taken this long, which was probably, I'm guessing, about 6 months. If I would have just grabbed her one night and planted a kiss on her lips, I'm fairly certain I would have had her right then and there. But I didn't, because I was too afraid of getting rejected. However, the series of events that took place after that is what pushed her over the fence to where she couldn't take it anymore and she wanted me. I mean, her attraction was high. So what were those events exactly? Well, I began to sexualize our interactions. I mean, actually, she did first, whether she did that by accident or not. I mean, if you remember, I woke up with her sleeping next to me and her hands down my pants, holding on to my member. But I sexualized it from there. It wasn't so much planned, but me just following my own sexuality. I mean, I wanted her bad, and I showed her that. And I showed her that I was a sexual man. Remember, women love to be desired by a man they feel attraction for, whether she's making that attraction obvious or not. I also conveyed that I wasn't afraid of her reaction or losing her. That one night I drew a mustache on her face with a magic marker. I mean, yeah, she was pissed, but it also communicated confidence, because it could have easily turned out that she would never hang out or talk with me ever again after that. And finally, I was exhibiting pre-selection. She saw with her own eyes that other attractive women were interested in me, or at least were attracted to me. I mean, hell, I had sex with one of those girls, with the girl I wanted, just on the other side of the door, hearing everything going on in the bathroom. Additionally, I believe us getting arrested together played a role in this, because we developed our own story and experiences. Women tend to feel closer, more comfortable with you when you have your own stories, experiences, and inside jokes. It's kind of like us against the world, and it's a bit romantic. Like I said, I had no clue what I was doing, but looking back, knowing what I know now, I could kind of connect the dots and reverse engineer what I did to succeed with getting out of the friend zone. It's rare that this happens, but if you've had it with a girl with whom you're in the friend zone, you could try some of these situations in order to push her over the fence and into your arms and ultimately into your bed. So demonstrate your sexuality. Perhaps start throwing in occasional sexual innuendos in your conversations. Be playful with her. Touch her, but in non-sexual touching, at least at first. It's about breaking that touch barrier. I actually did a video about this, and touching women not only turns her on a bit if she already feels at least some attraction for you. And like in my case, sometimes you just don't know if she feels attraction deep down or not. Plus, girls think it's kind of hot when men have the balls to make a move. They may not reciprocate, but they'll respect you for trying rather than being all timid and scared around her. Also, show her that you're not afraid of losing her or pushing her away. Now, I'm in no way suggesting that you get a girl passed out drunk and draw on her face, but you can get the same message across by not being so damn careful and overly respectful around her. I mean, even playful teasing can communicate this. Women love it when men are not timid and afraid around them, especially if she's beautiful, because beautiful women are used to men treating them differently. Another thing that will really help is to date other women. In my example, it just happened by accident. I happen to have a stripper roommate, so there were a lot of strippers around at my place all the time. And they often found it fun to tease me and challenge him because I didn't pay them a lot of attention. I mean, strippers are used to being treated differently due to their beauty and, of course, their occupation. And so, yes, they were hot and sexy, but because they were always over, I didn't find them to be the novelty most other men would. I treated them like I would treat any other girl. And they liked that, when they were used to being treated like goddesses by most men. My point being, other women showing interest in you tells the girl whom you're interested in that you are of a higher value, because women instinctively know that women wouldn't be interested in you if there wasn't something special about you. Other women being interested does a part of the filtering for her. It's kind of like you pass the first few tests a girl would normally give you. Plus, there's also the challenge of stealing you away from another girl. So just date and flirt with other women, and don't hide it from the girl who you really want. I mean, don't brag about it, but don't hide it. And don't worry that you might hurt her, because at this stage, you absolutely won't hurt her. And finally, develop some sort of us versus them scenarios with her, or some kind of experience and inside jokes that only you two know about. And this will help her bond to you where she feels comfortable being close to you. And don't try to force it, just create some adventures for the both of you where you're both just having fun. And preferably do it in a dating or romantic context. I mean, nice guys often scare away these women because they're not authentic. They try too hard to force a connection. So just don't be that guy. So, well, I mean, this video turned out to be a bit longer than I expected or even wanted to. So hopefully you learned something from it. So if you guys have found this video helpful, or any of my videos helpful, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and for you to share it with any of your friends and family. And I would also really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button down below and tick that little bell symbol next to it so you get real-time notifications of when I upload new videos. In the description down below, not only will I have a link to both my contact page and my coaching page, but I also have a link to PayPal or my Bitcoin wallet address if you deem this video worthy of a donation. And if you scroll all the way down, I've posted a few links on how you can start earning money today with crypto and stocks. I've said it before, if you ever want to get ahead financially, you must invest your money. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.